Today I'm hating Minecraft and digging. Again. However, I was digging out spaces for crop farms in my little AFK hole. Please enjoy, because I did not. AITJ for asking my coworker to stop referring to herself as my work wife. I, 34M, have a coworker, Lila, 31F, who constantly jokes that we're work spouses. It started as harmless banter, but lately it's making things weird. She'll say things like, my husband at home and my husband at work, I'm so lucky. Or you're basically my office soulmate. She even told a new hire that I'm married at work. Here's the issue. I'm actually married and my wife saw one of Lila's posts tagging me in a work husband appreciation meme. My wife laughed it off at first, but now she's uncomfortable. I told Lila, politely, that I appreciate the friendship but would prefer if she stopped with the work wife stuff. She got offended and said I was making it weird and that everyone jokes like that. Now she's distant at work, and another coworker said I humiliated her by rejecting her joke like it was romantic. AITJ for asking her to stop. I feel like a fool venting. My husband and I took both of our vehicles into town today so we could drop mine off at the tire shop and not be stuck there while they worked on it. We did some shopping at Walmart and by time we were done it was nearly finished. Now, when we dropped my car off I had some money in the center console. $35. And after we dropped it off my husband says, you had that money in the center console, I hope no one takes it. I wasn't really worried about it, thinking there's no way someone would risk their job for a few dollars. So we pick up my car. My husband had already started on his way home and I was a bit behind him. As I'm driving my curiosity peaks, and I check the center console. Money gone. I immediately call my husband and tell him and he tells me to turn around and go back to the tire shop and that he is also turning around. I obviously beat him there since I had barely gotten down the road. I walk inside, irritated, and say whoever worked on my car took $35 from my center console. There was money in there and now there isn't. Although I was mad, I wasn't being aggressive or anything like that. I'm not one who takes conflict easily. The person at the front desk went and got the owner and he asked if he could check my car with me. As we're walking out the door, my husband is just pulling up. I show the owner of the shop where the money was and we start looking in other places. I grab my wallet and say, it's not in my wallet, I haven't touched it. It's been right in my center console this whole time. Until I open my wallet and see the $35. My face flushed with heat and I look at my husband and say, did you put this in here? He struggles to find words, while I apologize to the owner like an idiot. The owner says, no worries, we're all human. And goes back inside. My husband swears he can't remember putting the money in my wallet, but I know for a fact I didn't. He's the only one who was going into my center console for the money. There was more than $35 to begin with, and I had asked him to bring me my wallet from the car yesterday. I would have never thought to check my wallet since I knew it was in the center console and I didn't have any other cash on me. I know getting upset over $35 is ridiculous, but it was more about thinking someone was snooping around in my car and taking things that bothered me. Once we got home, I continued to question my husband and he says he can't really remember, but he might have put it in my wallet. Which tells me, he in fact did move it. Because I didn't move it, and it didn't just appear there. So, due to this, I made a complete fool of myself and never want to show my face at that tire shop again. I'm pregnant, had a headache, and was stressed out for no reason. Let's just say that did not help my headache whatsoever. I just wanted to share my embarrassment, and my guilt for accusing the workers who did not have it coming. Thanks for taking a moment to read my ridiculous story. So when I was like 7 or 8, my cousins lived right next to us. And we had this tree row in between our houses and IDK how it started, but we used to go out there, me, male, and my cousin, female, and she used to lift her shirt or pull her pants down and stuff. One day she saw on YouTube a thing called Touch My Body, game where you place their finger somewhere on your body and they guess where that is. And it was normal, then I felt this weird spot like the onside of your sheet and I kept feeling it cause I didn't know what it was, and then she started making noises so I stopped and asked where it was and she would tell me, so I felt again and I still didn't know. I think I accidentally made her orgasm. Blah blah blah. We play that game more other days than we start calling it the inappropriate shows, and she would do it mostly, but sometimes Willie came out. But if there is one thing I am so glad for not happen is that we did not think that put his in that hole. We would have been in so much trouble even with the police. My parents still don't know. I don't think I will ever tell them or anyone. Sorry, that was kinda long, but I needed to write that out. You are cordially invited to the wedding of Amy Michelle Henderson and Daniel Ryan Burke on Saturday, the 18th of October, 2025. That bitch. I can't believe she had the nerve to send me an invitation after what she did. I still remember my wedding, when Daniel smashed my face in the wedding cake after I specifically asked him not to. He said I should get over it, that it was just a joke. I was humiliated. My family laughed, but they weren't laughing with me, they were laughing at me. My mother was pissed. She'd paid for the cake to make memories, not for a stupid prank. And my father was pissed that someone he trusted would embarrass his daughter like that. I remember later, when I asked Daniel why he'd do something like that after he promised not to. I'll never forget his answer. Amy said you'd like it. Amy, my now former best friend. She'd known exactly how I felt about it. We'd talked about it more than once. Why would she lie? I didn't understand. I broke up with Daniel. I couldn't be in a marriage with someone I couldn't trust, though honestly, the cake was only one of many reasons I didn't trust him. The annulment was easy. Moving past it was the hard part. I remember talking to my mother after it all happened. I was so hurt and angry, but my mother looked me in the eyes and said, "Don't let this stop you from believing in happy endings." Daniel was supposed to be my happy ending. Instead, I distanced myself from my former husband and former best friend, moved away, and restarted my life. And then I'd gotten this invitation in the mail, and it all made sense. She'd wanted Daniel all along. That's why she'd manipulated him into ruining our wedding. But the invitation didn't make sense. I knew she didn't really want me at her wedding given where we'd left things. So why the hell was she inviting me? Just to rub it in? I needed information, so I called a friend who still kept in touch with them. I can't get over it, Jen. Why the hell would Amy invite me to her wedding? Are you kidding? I guess it makes sense that you haven't heard since you moved away. Amy has been getting absolutely blasted all over town for dating Daniel after how she ruined your wedding. Your parents hate her, and they've turned the rest of their circle against her, as well. And their circle is most of the town. Okay, well deserved. But what does it have to do with me? Amy figures that, if you're at the wedding, everyone will think you're okay with it and then she'll be off the hook. Ah, now I got it. Well, I could be the bigger person. I'd show everyone that I was unbothered, that I'd moved past it all. So I RSVP'd yes. When I arrived in town, I met my parents for dinner. It was nice to see them again and catch up. My mom asked if I was sure about the wedding, but I assured her that I was over what had happened, that I was happy with my life. The next day, I reached out to Amy to thank her for the invitation. She seemed surprised to hear from me, but pleased. She invited me to lunch and I accepted. When we met, at a very public restaurant, of course, I assured her that I was happy for her and over everything that had happened. I even offered to help with any last-minute tasks she needed. I thought that would be it, but I was in my hotel the next day when the phone rang and, to my surprise, Daniel was on the other end. It was a little awkward at first, but he said he wanted to apologize for how things ended with us, something he'd never really done when we split up. After I accepted his apology, things were surprisingly normal. I wished him luck in his new relationship and we talked about our lives over the last couple of years. I even gave him some tips for his wedding. The day of the wedding came and I sat with the other guests and watched the vows, smiling the entire time. Just because my wedding didn't work out didn't mean I couldn't appreciate the beauty of the occasion. The couple stood over the cake, looking so happy, and then Daniel smashed Amy's face into it. The crowd gasped, not believing that he'd do it a second time. Then they laughed as Amy raised her head, smiling, and glancing at me, to show that she could take a joke. Then Amy took a few labored breaths, grabbed at her throat, and collapsed to the floor. The guests were confused at first, but then they screamed. I screamed along with them, of course. I didn't want to stand out. After all, they didn't know that I'd persuaded both Amy and Daniel separately what a good idea this would be, that it would let them put the past behind them. And they certainly didn't know that I'd sprinkled finely ground peanut dust over the cake, or that I'd stolen the EpiPen Amy always carried due to her deadly nut allergy. As I watched her, convulsing on the ground. I had only one thought. My mom was right. Who said there were no more happy endings? This guy and I broke up in March 2025. The reason why we broke up was because my other ex, that I dated back in 2023, one day found out about the guy new. So my other ex decided to get revenge and kissed me in front of the new guy on campus. Also, my older ex always had a fantasy to mess up with anyone's relationship, which is toxic. So he was messing up everything else's too. So the new guy blocked me on all socials. After a month, we both agreed to exchange stuff. We met on campus and he gave me back my tote bag. We talked for a bit and he initiated a hug. This was on the 4th of September, 2025. After that, he graduated, and after months and months we have been in zero contact since. Once I moved up to DC, I unpacked everything. As I was unpacking, I found a drawing on my tote bag, the same tote bag my ex gave back to me. It had a few doodles and it even had a date, the 4th of September, 2025 on it. I knew immediately it was from him and I felt very emotional. I kept it with me everywhere I went. Suddenly, my ex's dad popped up on Facebook. It was like a suggestion to follow. I did check out his profile and pictures just to see if there is a certain picture of my ex. I eventually found one and accidentally clicked like. I immediately unliked and blocked his dad of embarrassment. It was humiliating. Then very recently, like the next day, I decided to see if my ex still has me blocked, and turns out he decided to unblock me from there and all other socials. I was a bit spooked. This marks the date of the 9th of August, 2025. Then after month 10/08/025, I re-download Hinge, the same app we found each other in the beginning. And then first guy that pops up is him. I was very spooked then. Like, what was the universe trying to tell me? It even said he's new here. In his looking section it says life partner. I've got all the time in the world, do you? I decided to hit him a heart and add hey ______ I hope you're good. I know you don't want to talk, but I found the drawing you left in my tote bag and I really like it. I really miss you. Immediately he responds back with a match. He tells me about his job, and that he would love to talk again if I was up for it, and he misses me too. I told him yes, I'd love to call him. Then he calls me. We talk for hours. We catch up on everything, work, our lives, etc. He works 50 hours per week and earns $24 per hour. He is very hard-working, and that's one of the many things I like about him. He kept telling me I was very pretty and so wonderful. He was surprised to see me on a dating app again too. He has his own house and lives by himself. He told me he misses me and wants to see me again. He also said that after a while he realized what my other ex did to me wasn't my fault at all. He tried to make plans during our call. Then it was getting close to his bedtime. He goes to bed at 9 p.m. to wake up early around 5 a.m. So we decided to plan later. It was so wonderful to hear from him. After all this time, I missed his voice so much. On Sunday, the 10th of December, 2025, he disappeared on Hinge. I'm not too sure what it means. I want to assume he deleted his account after him and I reconnecting again. This timing seems to support that logic but can't be certain. Today I texted him, hey _______. I found out that on the metro the last stop on the Orange Line is the closest towards you. It's called the New Carrollton Station, which is like about 1 hour 31 minutes drive from ______. Maybe we can find an event for us to do or something during a weekend around your area or close. I'm not sure what's there in your area, haha. Also, I'd like to talk more about planning this weekend on a phone call. LMK when you're available. If not, no worries at all, smiley face. So far no response. I know he's busy with work and has a tight schedule. He even told me he's pretty tied to his job. But he's sorta active on Instagram, but not always. I now follow him back on Insta, but so far he hasn't followed back. What are ways to feel better about the situation, and is anyone else experiencing something similar? I'm probably overthinking everything and he might just be very busy. It's just hard because we both really like each other, but I guess I have to learn to be patient. I left my best friend's birthday party because of something her boyfriend did, and now I'm the villain. personal experience. So this happened last weekend, and I genuinely don't know if I overreacted or not. My best friend Maya turned 27 and hosted a chill dinner party at her apartment with about 15 of her close friends. Everyone was vibing, drinks were flowing, music was solid, great energy. Here's where it gets weird. I arrived a little late because of work, and Maya's boyfriend Jay opened the door. I've met him a few times, and while we've never had a real conversation, he's always been off-like, too smooth, kinda flirty, but I brushed it off as his personality. That night, I was wearing a red silk dress. Nothing crazy, but it was fitted. As I walked in, Jay said word for word, "Damn, if I didn't know you were Maya's friend, I'd be making a move tonight." Then he winked. I literally laughed awkwardly and said, "Wow, okay," and walked past him. I told myself not to make a scene. Maybe he was tipsy. Maybe I misheard. Whatever. But it didn't stop there. Throughout the night, Jay kept brushing past me like touching my lower back, whispering things like "you're trouble in that dress," and once even whispered, "Maya doesn't have to know." I was stunned. I wasn't drinking much, so I was definitely sober enough to know I wasn't imagining it. So, I left. Quietly. Texted Maya later saying I wasn't feeling well and had to dip. But I didn't tell her about Jay. I honestly didn't know how to bring it up without sounding like I was trying to ruin her birthday. Fast forward to today, she texts me saying she's hurt I left without saying bye, that Jay felt disrespected because I was cold to him, and that I was acting weird all night. I told her everything. Screenshot texts he sent me after the party too, saying, "Hope I didn't scare you off. You looked edible last night." Now she's ghosting me. Unread messages. I think she confronted him and he denied it. And now somehow I'm the drama. So, am I the villain here? Should I have handled it differently? My husband's strange encounter. At 1:52 a.m. my phone rings. It's my husband. He already texted me letting me know he was on his way home from work. Worried that something was wrong, I answer. Me. "Hey, babe. You okay?" Him. Silence. Me. "Babe." Him. "Can you hear me?" Me. "I can now. Are you okay?" Him. "I don't know what just happened. I'm almost home, but I saw something. I'm about to lose service. Be waiting on me, please." I get out of bed and stand at the front door, waiting to see his headlights come down our long driveway. He gets in the door, with a shocked look on his face. This is what he said. "I saw these things. These tall white things. A tall, white woman, with two other tall white people. Not white like the skin color. Snow white. They were standing out by the abandoned train tracks, on X Road. The woman had what my brain could only compare to a trash bag with a light. I know that's not what it was, but that's what it reminded me of. When I saw them, they noticed me too, and I got this feeling. I can't explain it, but I just needed to get out of there. An unease came over me. I'm not sure what they were, but it wasn't right. They're not humans." I started reheating his dinner, and then it hit me. This automatically made me think of the tall whites. I googled tall whites and asked my husband if any of the photos were comparable. He scrolled to one image and said, "Yes, this is close." The next morning, we decided to go back to where he saw them, and there was a black mark on the ground, like something scorched the earth. Even more puzzling was that it had lightly rained the night before. It was raining when he saw them. Nobody lives in the area where he saw them. It's just an old, one-lane road that connects two larger roads and crosses the abandoned railroad tracks. We also live in the outskirts of a very tiny little town. It's unlikely that anyone was this far out, making a fire directly next to the road and tracks. As we're walking towards the car, old man, in a beat-up, old Ford, pulls up beside us. He says, "Hey, what y'all up to?" Neither of us recognized him. We just nodded and said we were looking at something. "Is our car in your way?" He puts the truck in park and gets out. He says, "No, y'all are fine. Did you kids see something interesting?" My husband said, I saw something out here the other night, on my way home from work. Not sure what it was though. The old man says, "Is that right? I live over that way. Have all my life." As he points to the highway. An awkward silence falls over us for a few seconds as we're walking to the car. Then he says, "You'll believe in aliens?" My husband and I both look at each other. I say, "Yes, actually we do." He goes on to tell us that he and his late wife experienced a lot of strange occurrences out there over the years. He said the scorch mark was from them, and asked if we'd ever seen anything in the sky that was unidentifiable. My husband showed him a video that was taken a couple months back of a UFO over our house. He invited us over to his house, saying that he had some images he'd like to show us. It may not have been the best decision, but we agreed. My husband has his carry permit, so I wasn't too worried. We followed him to an old farmhouse. He said his grandparents built the house in the 1800s, and all of them have seen and experienced things on around the property. He goes to a little garage shack and retrieves some old Polaroid pictures. All 5 photos pictured your classic flying saucer. My father took these, he said. There's more in the house, somewhere. He goes on to tell us that he's not exactly sure where they come from or why they're here, but he knows there's different species and different kind of craft. I'd like to think we gained a friend, but I'm still not 100% sure what my husband encountered. I thought I'd share the story here. My ghost story. When I was 15, I was hanging out with my older sister at her house. She was 23 at the time. It was around 12:30 a.m., so she made sure I got in the house when she dropped me off. I went upstairs and started taking my makeup off, brushed my teeth, went in bed and turned off the light. The light was one of those lights that you turn on by twisting the thing by the bulb, so it clicked and then it went back on once I got under the blankets. I tried turning it off and it didn't turn off, and then eventually I just unplugged the light. Fast forward to maybe 30 to 45 minutes later, I hear my dad get up to go to the bathroom, and then he went back in his room. Then I heard my door open. The house was probably 100 years old, so we have creaky doors. So I said, "Dad," and then my door latched closed and I could feel breathing on my neck. I turned around. No one was there, but the breathing and a faint light was. I plug my light in and the door opens and closes again as I hear footsteps running down the stairs, unlocking my front door and slamming it shut. I paid for an entire trip to Universal Studios, and now no one wants to go with me. I, 27F, bought 2-day tickets to Universal Studios and 1-day Horror Nights ticket for a guy, 26M, we'll call him Alex, that I met at a music festival back in July. In July, I went to a music festival by myself and was trying to meet friends to hang out with at the festival, which is when I met Alex. We had spent the entire 2-day festival weekend together, aside from when we were sleeping. We did not do anything romantic or sexual while we were there, but I felt a really strong connection with him. For context, I live in Arizona and he lived in Texas. But even after the festival, we continued to talk every day, texting, calling on the phone for over 3 hours every single day. We even played video games together. We shared a farm on Stardew Valley. So, after talking consistently every day, we had made plans for him to come visit me in Arizona. And then we were going to drive to Los Angeles to go to Universal Studios and Horror Nights together. We planned the days he was coming and when we would be in LA. Universal Studios was having a deal where you buy 1 day, you get another day free inside the park. But, at the time, Alex said that he had to wait to buy his ticket for after the deal expired. So I bought his ticket for him so we could both have 2 days in the park. Well, I made a huge mistake by doing that, not knowing that they were non-refundable. A few weeks after that, Alex grew distant and eventually ghosted me. I had asked him what was wrong and what I could do, but he had blocked me on everything, without paying me for his ticket. I wasn't even going to have him pay me back. I wasn't just going to ask him to pay for the hotel or something else to make it even. I was very sad and heartbroken for a few weeks, and then tried to move on. Fast forward to a month after he had ghosted me, I had asked all of my friends if they wanted to come with me instead. I'd rather go with one of my friends than a man anyways, but they all told me they couldn't afford to go. I started seeing a new guy, 26M, we'll call him Sam, and I asked him a little over 2 weeks from when the tickets are for. He said yes, but that he couldn't afford to pay for a lot of the trip, so I only asked him to help pay for food and gas to get there. Fast forward to now, 3 days before we're supposed to leave for the trip. I just booked and paid for the hotel and made sure that we had the horror nights tickets. And now, he told me that he can't come on the trip now, either. I asked everyone else that I'm close to, even though it's so last minute now. And of course, they aren't able to come with me either. So, I don't know if I'm asking for advice, or what, but should I try to call them and ask for refunds? I'm pretty sure I can't, especially now, 3 days before. I don't know what else to do, and I don't really want to go by myself. I saw the devil in Bulgaria encounter. I do not really know why I'm writing this. Maybe because I haven't slept properly in weeks. Every time I close my eyes, I see it again, that black figure standing among the trees. If someone had told me I'd ever talk about something like this, I would have laughed. But here I am, typing this with shaky hands. It started on one of those strangely warm October Saturdays when the air smells like dry leaves and dust. My friend Petter and I decided to hike up Gendham Hill, just to drink some coffee at the top and look at the city. I've always liked that place. There's something heavy about it, old and alive somehow. The Turks called it Gendham, which means hell. My grandmother used to tell me that at night you could hear footsteps up there, but you should never ask who it is. I laughed back then. I would not now. It was around noon. The sun was strong, the air was trembling, and everything was quiet in a strange way. We sat on the rocks near the antenna and watched Plovdiv spread beneath us like a toy city. After a while, Petter went silent. He squinted and nodded toward the trees. "Do you see that down there?" he asked. At first I thought it was a man, but the more I stared, the less human it looked. I could not make out any details. No clothes, no face, no reflection from the sun. It wasn't just black. It was the kind of black that eats the light around it, like a hole in the world. Then I smelled it. Burnt metal, mixed with something rotten. Petter cursed and said we should leave. I wanted to move, but my body wouldn't listen. The thing turned toward us. Not like a person. It didn't move, just shifted, like space itself bent the wrong way. The air suddenly felt heavy. Everything went dead silent. No birds, no wind, even the city noise disappeared. Then came the sound. Not really a voice, more like a whisper scraping against metal. I could not understand the words, but it felt like they were echoing inside my head instead of my ears. And then it was gone. No movement, no sound, just empty air where it had been. Petter was already halfway down the path, yelling at me to move. I finally did. When we reached the bottom, neither of us said a word. He looked pale, like he hadn't slept in days. Then he said quietly, "Don't call me. I do not want to remember this," and walked away. The next day I texted him. No answer. 2 days later I heard he'd been taken to the hospital. His mother said he woke up screaming at night, saying the black one was standing by his window. I haven't been the same since. At night, when I turn off the lights, I keep seeing something move at the edge of my vision. Shapes darker than the dark. Sometimes, if I listen closely, I can still hear that faint metallic whisper, like breath on the back of my neck. And the worst part. Last week I was standing on my balcony. You can see the whole hill from there. Right on the top, where we sat that day, I saw it again. A black figure, still as a statue, watching the city below. Maybe I'm imagining things. Maybe fear's just messing with my head. But deep down, I know one thing. That hill is... I just found out my husband is still married. And now his first wife thinks I'm the reason their marriage ended. I'm 2 months pregnant and don't know what to do. I don't even know where to start. But here goes. This is the hardest thing I've ever had to write. And I feel like I'm going crazy. I've been married to my husband for a year, and we're expecting our first child together. I'm 2 months pregnant. We had a beautiful wedding, everything seemed perfect. And for a while, I really thought I was living the dream. But here's where things took a massive turn. I recently found out that my husband is still married to his first wife. Yes, you read that right. Still married. When we got together, he told me that he was divorced and even showed me paperwork to prove it. It was a tough time for him, he said. His first marriage ended badly, and that's why he didn't want to talk about it much. I trusted him, he seemed genuine, and everything felt right. We fell in love, got married, and started building a future together. Then, last week, I got a message from his first wife. I thought it was some kind of mistake at first, but no. She said she's been trying to get in touch with me for months and that she never knew her husband was married again. She claims my husband had been lying to her and still tells people he's her husband, and she's furious. At first, I thought it was some mix-up, maybe a misunderstanding. But when I confronted my husband, he admitted it. He told me that they have been separated for years, but they never legally divorced. He kept this from me because he didn't want to stir up any drama. He also told me that his first wife has been emotionally unstable and had been holding on to their past for years, and he didn't want to upset her further by bringing it up. Now, his first wife is messaging me non-stop, saying that I've destroyed her family and stolen her husband. She says she's devastated and that it's my fault their marriage ended. She's even told me that she's been trying to fix things with him for the last year, but has been too focused on his new marriage to care about her. I'm just sitting here, trying to wrap my head around everything. I feel like my whole world has been turned upside down. I'm pregnant, my husband lied to me, and now his ex-wife is putting all the blame on me for their marriage falling apart. I never wanted to cause any harm. I thought I was marrying a man who was free, and now I feel like I've been made a fool of. I don't know what to do. Do I stay with him and try to make this work? Or is this a deal breaker? How do I handle this complicated situation with his ex-wife, especially with my pregnancy on top of everything? Has anyone ever been in a situation like this? What should I do next? I'm so lost right now, and I feel like I don't even know my own life anymore. I wonder what my co-worker up to. I work in healthcare and we work together with people a lot. So last week I had a night shift, and for the first time me and a female co-worker, we worked together, and it was surprisingly nice to work with her. We've been in the same position for 3+ months now, but never really worked together. One thing with me is if I don't get along with people I don't know, I'd want to be away from them. There's been couple times where she was scheduled to work with me but got moved later on, and I was relieved about not having to work with someone I don't know. Anyways, we work together and we talk and get along very well. She goes she thought I was rude and I didn't care about others. I mean, I get it. And I knew this is how she's thinking of me. I never really cared about it. She turns out to be the most interesting person I've ever met. Her views on different aspects of life, how she thinks of her own life, how strong and independent she is, and yet she's the sweetest person over there. She tells me how people think of how good she looks, and she's not into dressing up for others, and how she only focuses on what matters the most. She look really pretty and she's a 10, but I'm not interested in anything sexual really. I'm not saying I see a pretty woman, find her attractive, but not enough to sleep with her. I mean it in a way that there's a lot more to her than her body. I want to talk to her about everything ever and spend time with her. It could be platonic and I don't mind at all. Although she brought up how she'd love to cuddle at night, and I wish I could tell her how I feel and how much deep and intimate it would mean to me. She even told me stuff about myself that made complete sense, and she knows nothing about me. Wow, I'm impressed. By the way, she's 4 years older than me and a single mom. She can fix her own car, take care of kids, work full-time. She's shown interest in me, told me how attractive I was and how different I'm from the rest of the people. They're more, but you get the idea. Saw something I shouldn't have. Apologies in advance for how long this got LMAO. So, I'm a second shift custodian at an elementary school. I work from around 2 to 11:30, so I still have a lot of interaction with the staff. The staff involved will call Teacher A and Teacher B, both ladies. Last Monday I was taking out trash in the wing of classrooms that leave a little earlier than everyone else. There's usually some teachers finishing up some paperwork, so I'll say hi and grab trash. Teacher A's classroom's lights were off and the door was slightly propped. Her door is a lil fucky, so when she leaves she'll do that so she doesn't have to fight with it in the morning. Me, thinking the room was empty, strolled in. Well, it wasn't empty. A and B were in there, intimately embraced. Nothing crazy, but it definitely was not platonic. Unfortunately, I was already halfway in the room before even noticing, so I had the most awkward haha hey just grabbing trash. Then fucking booked it out of there. And hey, as a fellow gay we love to see it. But the thing is that I know Teacher A is married to a man with several children and just celebrated their 10-year anniversary. And I was convinced Teacher B had a girlfriend as well. Now I don't know the details of Teacher A's relationship, For all I know, they're open or quietly separated. And frankly, it's none of my fucking business. But the real problem is now they know I know, and I know they know I know, so things are very weird and neither of them will even make eye contact with me now. How do I subtly let them know that I don't give a shit and I'm keeping my mouth shut? Like, of course, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not going to throw myself into the flames of a lesbian affair. I just want to get back to normal, because honestly both of them are some of my favorite teachers as they actually treat me like a human being, and I really don't want to quit. My friend set me up in front of her boyfriend and came out of the situation looking like an innocent lamb. It happened on a Wednesday morning at school. We were discussing who would dance the waltz with whom, as usual. She needed to find a partner, as no one really wanted to be with her because of her nasty character. She decided to play a joke on her boyfriend, telling him she'd found a partner for a waltz. He's from out of town and can't dance with her. To which he replied that she should give him this man's number immediately. She was desperately curious about what he would write, so she gave him my number. A couple of minutes later, I receive a threatening message, saying that if I hold her by the waist, it will be the end for me. I didn't immediately understand what he was talking about. I asked who he was talking about, and where he got my contact information. I never got an answer. After a few hours, he found out he'd been texting me, not his girlfriend's waltz date. My friend was upset with me because of this. Afterwards, they broke up. P.S. They made up half an hour later. I ran home in tears. I was left perplexed. Afterwards, I started receiving messages from her boyfriend about how much he hated me, that I was always interfering in their relationship and ruining everything for them. I have never been interested in their relationship and certainly did not pry into it. I was receiving a sea of insults from my friend's boyfriend. I tried to find out the reason for this influence from my friend. I was either ignored or met with the response, "I'm tired of explaining everything to you." Spoiler, she never explained anything to me. The last straw were the messages from her boyfriend. "I'll make sure you don't talk to each other anymore, or she'll distance herself from you and never talk to you again." Death wishes for me, from her goat, and the fact that she doesn't want to talk to me. I was in complete shock, didn't know what to do or how to proceed. I was incredibly hurt and decided I would never contact her again. I cried all evening and night that day. I was disgusted by her and her goat. I was sickened to the point of nausea by their words and her actions. I was always there when she was feeling down, and I would constantly come to her house to cheer her up, buying her anything just to see her smile. After their latest breakup, in response, I only received "I'm busy, leave me alone," or a lot of excuses and aggression towards me from her. A few days later, I received one word from her, which was spoken in a whisper: "Sorry." That night, I would have given everything to hear this, to finally calm down and stop crying. But alas, it never rained. She did this many times. She treated me like a thing, and I couldn't refuse her. I'll probably never be able to forgive her and her boyfriend. I know it will be hard to let go of someone so close to me, but I can't forgive them. Is it worth forgiving her at all?